boost. Today's class is style attributes. But before we go to today's class, I like to get feedback on what you guys have been doing so far. Louis, I would like you to start first. You said you're having issues on class 102, and class 102, that's HTML 102, is about the structure of the web. So I would like to get your, what are the issues that you have so that we can review it.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Um, I was trying to follow up because if I'm watching the video, I like to do what you are doing so
Okay.
that I will also get the results
Okay.
that you are getting. But I found out that I was trying to do what you were doing, but I was not getting the results, especially when you go to those B, arrow, and the rest.
Okay.
The result was not showing. So I don't just get it.
Okay. So let me
I'm trying
explain.
to go and over and
Yes.
over
Yeah.
again.
Let me interject there.
I downloaded the picture already. I don't know if there's another extension I should be downloading.
Okay. So did you save your page when you were testing? Did you save? Did you save your work?
Eh, the other time I tested you said I should save it, and that time I saved. That was when I saved it. I don't know if there's supposed to be another saving
Okay.
system.
So let me tell you what you will do next. So this is how it will go. Whenever you get
Yes.
into that kind of situation whereby you've tried something and it's not working, because you sent me a message and you say you've been trying for a while now, so you don't need to try too long. You can mute your side, mute your end.
Okay.
So once you try something the first time it didn't work, you've tried all what you know based on my teachings and it's not working, the next thing to do is to contact me. Do you get? So when you contact me, these are the things that you are going to be sending to me. You send me your screenshots. Oh, these are the things I'm doing and it's not working. That is why I'm here. That is the difference between watching a YouTube video and getting a coach or a mentor to guide you through. And most times people don't make use of these stuffs. That's why you're in this special program. So once you've tried something, one, two, it's not working. The next thing, my number should be on your speed dial. You know, take a screenshot. This is what I'm doing. No, I'm not seeing the results. And it might just be one simple thing, but you will not be able to see it except I look at it and give you the feedback what it is. So I hope that everybody will learn from this. We won't be able to go through the core thing. So what I will ask you to do is take a screenshot, not now, later. All the videos and everything are there later. Let's go through to this class and then we will now work on your own case, specially. So after this class, whatever you've been doing that you've not, take a screenshot and send it to me. Then we'll pick it from there. So if the case needs for me to remote into your system, why not? I will do that, and then we'll be able to tackle the issue and fix that. Okay, let's start, guys. Today's class is on. Is there any other feedback from any other person? If there's another feedback, no one contacted me. Only Master Louis contacted me. So I think that was the only feedback I got. So let's go on to today's class. Today's class is going to be talking about style attributes. Style attributes, which I assumed you guys have watched the video. So let me know who has watched the video here. Chorus answer. Okay, who has watched the video? So I want to bring the video up. I sent the video to the group.
Welcome.
So the video is using style attributes. HTML 103. Today's class is HTML 103. And like I said, the video, you're supposed to watch the class first, prepare yourself, and then for questions. And I will also review it again. That's that's bonus. So me, it's like I'm taking the same class 2 times again. So if you fail to watch the video, you will just be hearing this for the first time, and then it will be like a
Sorry.
okay. So let's take that again. So as I was saying, um, the procedure to these classes are simple. You watch the video, the topic on which we are going to talk about. Once you go through it, you prepare your question. It's still me talking in the videos, guys. It's still me, and it's our previous sessions that I've had with other classes. Watch the video, then we are supposed to now come and talk about that video in terms of I will do a new review about that class. And in this time, you guys are going to be asking questions based on that class. It's not going to be a first time for you. It's not going to be coming to you as a first time. You've already seen it. Probably you've even practiced, what it is in the video. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm reviewing it, and I'm even, if you guys have done a good job, I will even be adding more things. So you'll be gaining more from that. That's like 2 classes in one. So I really appreciate if you guys go through the video first, then so that when I'm doing this again, it will be like a revision, and then it will be a way for me for it to hammer on the topic again. So when you are seeing it, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's true. And then you can start asking, oh, why was that like that? Why was that like that? And things like that. It will not be engaging, and it will make more sense for us to go that route. So I'll expect that the next class, which is HTML 104, you guys would have watched it. I will send you the link, guys. I'll send it to you, HTML 104. Once it's time, you're going to review it. The next class is going to be, what was the next class? The next class is going to be on Monday. That's a long time, guys. That's a long time to watch the video and practice. So by the time I'm coming again, I will still be talking about HTML 104. That way, you are prepared, in bringing all the feedback or all the reviews. And then what I'm doing is I'm even adding more and talking about it again. So there's no way you will forget or you will not benefit from that kind of teaching. So guys, let's move on to the next thing. So what we are doing today is 103, HTML 103. And the topic is using style attributes. So I'm going to come here to mention this. Using style attributes. So what I've done here on top is a way to make comments in HTML. So comments are something or are notes you want to take such that it doesn't affect the output of your result. So this is a way to put comments on your notes, because we're going to be writing codes, and some of those codes might not be readable to might not make sense to general public, and you want to be able to freely write text so that you can say, oh, okay, this one was doing this, or this one was doing that. So this text is a note to you and to your future self, or to any other person that will be seeing the program. So let's move on, guys. Using style attributes. Remember, let's do a recap quickly for those people that didn't get it the first time. We talked about what are things that we talked about in the first class, or in the class we had before. So we talked about, I think, 4 things. So we talked about elements. I'm not going to be asking question what element is and things like that, but you guys should know what element is by now. Tags. We talk about element content. And 4, we talk about attributes. So element is, I don't have to give a definition. So you can watch the previous videos if you want the breakdown of all this. So element is everything on the web page, or everything on the web page is made up of elements. Everything. So let's start with our first documentation, which is HTML. This is how you start defining your document, that, oh, okay, I want to start writing HTML code. And this is an HTML element. The first guide that we have here and the second guide that we have here are pairs of tags. Individual, they are called tag. The first one you see here is called an open tag, and the second one is a close tag. That settles A1 and 2. The three parts is called the element content. The content of the element is in between the open tag and close tag. So the content of an HTML tag is we have the head section, which we talked about in the previous video. We also have the title section. So this part we're talking about using style attributes. So I can title this as using style attribute, and you can see our results, guys, in the preview, showing on the top right corner of the screen. The next thing I want to also do is to show the body section. Remember I mentioned that the HTML is structured into head and body parts. So we just finished talking about the head section. We move into the body section. So the body is also a tag. Everything is a tag in HTML, or rather elements and tags. They're just bunch of HTML elements and tags, element content and attributes. So we're diving somewhere. We're going to the attributes part. So we're all good with this. So let's go ahead and start defining something. Now, having said this, I'll remove this part. I'll remove all these guys. I'll remove all these guys so that you just give us a way to have a clearer screen. There are so many tags or so many elements in HTML. So we're going to start them one after the other. So there is what we call H1 tag or H1 element. And what it does is for header. In your text or in your content of what you are trying to do, you might want some fonts to be bigger than the other. So H1 is a way to show a header, and there are 6 of them. So you can do header 1. So that's how you can see how big it is. So this is to show header content, and like I said, there are 6 of them. So this is header 2, and the way to denote them is H1, H2, H3, H4. Each of them are called H element. That's header elements. So you can go as many, and you can keep adding all the elements as you want. But what we're trying to do here is not to showcase all the H1 and H2 we have, but just to be able to show our style attributes. So let me move on and go to the next thing. The next thing I want to also talk about is paragraph. Paragraph element, as the name denotes, allows you to put content in a paragraph. So paragraph is used for content management. You want to put content here. So I can just write some story and say, hello, this is the first time I'm writing a content in a paragraph. So I can have that there. So I have that there. Now we are going to the style attribute. In a previous video, we hinted a little bit about style attributes. So we're going to talk about it very much well in this video. So a style attribute is to add an attribute, you add it in the open tag of the element. The style attribute or any attribute is added to the open tag of the element you want to apply it to. So we're going to add style attribute to everything here. I'm just taking it step by step. So let's start from the body. Where do you add an attribute? In the open tag of the element. So you provide a space. So let me make this very big because I'm about to go detail now. So I need you guys to pay close attention to this. So let me do 30. Okay. So now I have this style. Now in the style, I will be, providing a space for us to write so many things, because the style is what allows you to change the visual representation of what you are seeing. The style allows you to do that. Actually, that's one of the major power of the style. Even though This is going to happen in our next course. The course we are doing now is HTML. After HTML, the next thing we are doing is CSS. So we will just limit ourselves to few things in the styling. By the time we go to the next course, which is CSS, we will be handling, this in detail. So we'll just go ahead and be putting few things in our style. So we'll just limit the design of our page to small stuffs. Okay, so how is style handle? How do you set the style value of any element? Simple. So the first thing you need to do is to know the property name. Property name. So look at what I'm going to introduce, guys. Property name followed by a column. Do you see, guys? Column. Then what's the next thing you need to put? Then you put property value. And you end with semicolon. So that is the syntax. Syntax is a way that the system requires you to write or to word the program you are doing. So if you write it any other way, it will not agree. It will not go allow you. So let's look at this again. You have the property name, which is the name that denotes the effect you want to see on the style. Remember in the previous video, we did background color. So property name is like that. You can say this is just a placeholder. We're going to change it to something that makes more sense. Then followed by what? Followed by property value, the value of the property. Now, this is more of like saying this one is equal to this. So look at the semicolon. Very important. You have to put it there. Then when you are done with your declaration, you terminate it with semicolon. Okay, this column and this semicolon. This termination gives room for you to go down and add more declaration. So you can go ahead and do another property name 2, and then you do property value 1 or value 2. Then once you are done, you do a semicolon to terminate your declaration, meaning you are done. Imagine you didn't put declaration, you didn't put semicolon here. This semicolon allows the system to know that you are actually done with this declaration so that the system can process the next declaration. So let's go ahead and then put a real thing. Let's do a real thing now, because this one is just a way for me to capture your knowledge or capture your imagination to say, oh, this is property name. Let's now put real property and real value. So I'm going to leave this first one here, even though there's nothing called property name in the body style declaration. We just keep it there so that you compare it with the thing I want to put. So we set background. You can see all the features that is available. You can see that the IDE, that's Visual Studio Code, allows you to browse through all available stuffs. We're going to go through all these things in the subsequent class, but just stay with me, guys. So we have background color. So once you do this, it allows you to pick the property name. So background color happens to be a property name, meaning you can use it to change the background of the element you are working with. And what elements are we working with? We're working with the body element. So what value can we literally set in the background color? So you can just type in the color. Color is a different topic when we get to CSS. Color is a topic when we get to CSS. So for now, just write the color you can write in your mind. Any color you can spell, write it out. So you can actually say indigo, for example. It will put it there. When we get to CSS, we'll talk more on color. Okay, so now that we've been able to specify one property, so you can see the way the property stay. This is one declaration. Let's go ahead and put the next property, and that's just color, or color. I want to specify the color of the text. So it's not called text color. It's not called text. There's nothing called text color. That would have made more sense, but well, they went ahead and said color. That's what they call it. So you have to use what it is they say you have to use. So you can't make up your own words. You can't make up your own words. You have to follow the standard library documentation. The documentation to say what the color of the text is called color. So I can just use this funny color. and then I have that result that way. Notice the way I terminate that. So now that I've been able to set the property of the body, so can you see the results that we're getting? This is the results we're getting. So this is not anything special because we did this in our previous class. But what I want to do in this class is to add more stuffs to it. So not only can you set for body, you could actually set for other parts of your element. So let's go ahead and give style some funky design. So let's go ahead. So look at what I'm doing, guys. I'm adding style attributes to paragraph. So I come here and I have this same effect that can be done here. So I can break it so that I can write my style freely. That's why I'm breaking it, so I can add it freely and so that it's visually appealing to you guys. That's why I'm breaking it. If you don't break it, it will put everything in the same line, which is still okay, but you have to be able to follow through on what it is that I'm typing. So what I want to do is I can still repeat the same thing. I want to do background color. We are going to talk about all these properties later, all the properties available. There are classes for each of these properties, so not to worry. There's tons of properties we have there. So I'm going to do inverse color. So the inverse color I want to do is I want to make this color the background while I make this indigo the main text color. So that's more of like inverse. So I make that the color. So you can see the results that we have there. So that gives us that result. Okay, so let me see what we are supposed to, other things we are supposed to cover in today's topic. So if we go to, so imagine now this would have just been question and answer. Okay, so I also talked about meta tag, viewport, link. This is supposed to be tag, link, tag, and style attributes. Okay, so text formatting with example. You guys will need to go back and watch this video because you can see topics that you missed. You missed meta tag. Meta tag has to do with the head section because the head section is just is what covers what happens in the head. There's a lot of things that happen in the head. I have a video for that, especially what goes on in the head section. So there is something there that you guys have missed. Let me show you what I'm looking at so that you see what is going on. So when I say you guys should watch a video, please go and watch it. It's very important. It will make all our job easier. So you can see the topics I cover. What I've just done now is just 1226. That's what I covered. So all this one now, I've not talked about it. Even though the reason why I didn't talk about it is that not that they are not important, you will not be seeing their results immediately right now. So I just focused more on this one. And the next part we're going to is text formatting. So, and then we'll round up the class. Let me change the view again. So let me see what I introduced in text formatting. Okay, so what I did in text formatting was to bring up a design. I brought up a design and then I redesigned it. So what's the time now? This is 9:30. So let's see if we can actually pull that off. Let me go to a browser. Let me open up a browser and go to Google. Let me make this available to you guys so that you can see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna do, let me say greeting card. Okay, let me say wedding card. or wedding invitation. So in the video, I did a design of a wedding invitation, and with the aid of text formatting. That was the idea, and I think it's one of the assignments in the video. So you guys will need to go and watch the video so that you can also do the assignment and format and learn how to do text formatting. That was what that class is all about. So I'm looking at something that we can design quickly in this class so that I give you another perspective to this. I'm looking at something we can design. What can we design now? Okay, so let's just do this simple guy. Let's do this simple one. Why is it so small? This is so small. I want something big so that I can read through what is inside. Okay, I think it's manageable, but there's no activity going on. It's just it's too basic. There's no activity going on there. Let me see which one I use. Okay, I like this one. This one has quite a lot. So Ogbeni, I'm just want to get the screenshot. I'm not downloading anything. Okay, let's do this one, guys. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. So I'm gonna get a screenshot of this. I'm gonna get a screenshot. Yep. And I have a screenshot already. Let's now put it so that we can work on it. So I'm going to use my Explorer, that's Project Explorer on the right hand side. You can see it on the right hand side. I'm going to use it to bring the picture in. So I will go through my system and search for it. I just did a screenshot and it should be on my desktop. Desktop, where's desktop? Desktop. So that's the screenshot. I drag and drop it there. So we have our new stuff there. This is what we want to kind of mimic. I want to design this. So I can rename it to something. I can even, if I don't need to rename it since I'm not bringing it as an image into our project. So let me now change the size of the font because it won't really make sense based on what we are doing now. So we have 20, so it's supposed to be 20. This is way big. Okay, I'm gonna split my screen so that we can have a nice view. So I'm looking at how to split it. Which splitting is better? Should I put this one? Should I do 3 splitting view? 3 view. Okay, so let me do 3 view. So I split this to the right again. So I have this view. I don't need this. So I can push this one to this end. So I can do something like this. Which view is better? Split to the right. So I can have something like this. I can actually have something like this. And let's see. So let's go ahead and do this. How can we achieve this? We're going to ignore so many designs so that I don't bring in things that you don't know yet. So I will just focus on the few things that we just drive home the point, like bringing in the background, all those things. I will not worry too much about that. Those things are going. I will still going to teach you guys those things as we progress in the lecture. So, how do we start this? First of all, I like the background like this background. Let's leave this background. I want to, okay, so let's start. We're focusing on formatting. So let's go with this Richard and Julian. Richard and Julian. So I'll come here. H1, since H1 seems to be big, I can use that one to capture Richard and Julian. So I can use one H1 for Richard, or better still, I can just use normal element, which is a div. So let me say Richard let me do H1 as well for Juliana. Juliana. So this first one is Richard. So where does the and stay? So there are several elements, that I've not talked about. This is just H1 element. So an element can allow you to, allow other elements to stay side by side with them. And that element is called span. So I'll use that one to handle this appresent. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to focus on this content that's here. Together with their families, invite you to all these stories. So let's go ahead and add that in paragraph. And I will say all is in cap locks together, but I will put it in lowercase because I want to use it to explain something. So together with their families, invite you to their wedding celebration. Notice that it's not looking like this at all, but that's fine. What we are doing right now is that we are capturing the content. We are capturing the content that makes up, what we want to do. We might not be able to do it exactly the way it is, but we'll try. The reason is because I don't want to introduce something that I've not taught you yet. So that I just want to focus on the topic. And the topic is style attributes. So the next thing we want to capture is the January part. So I can make the January H3. Then I can put the January like this. So that's the January there. And the next one I want to do is I'm ignoring okay, let me put that one in H. I can also put that one in H1 or H2 and tell it to be Saturday. We will not have it exactly like this, so 25, then at 8 p.m. So the last thing I have at the bottom, which I can put as H3, is now 2025. Then finally, I have a paragraph that denotes the address 123 anywhere, not really anywhere street, any city. Any city, streets 1 2 3 4. Now so they put them. Okay guys, so we are supposed to transform this into this. Well, it won't be exactly like I said, but we'll try. I want to just use only the minimal design approach to be able to do this. So the first thing I want to explain is, because we are doing text formatting, that's what this class is all about. The topic is text formatting. How you can format text to fall in line to what it is you want to do. First of all, when you look at the whole design of this works around centralizing all the content. It works around centralizing all the content. So how do you centralize a text? You can easily centralize a text by doing Style, remember that you can style each and every one of an element by doing text is equal to style or text dash align, then you provide the value center. Now look at what I've done here, guys. Text dash align is a property that allows you to align a text either to the start, to the end. You can see all the place you can align the text to. So right now, I just chose to align it to center. Now you have to do this to everything. You have to do it to span. You have to do it to H1. You have to do it to paragraph. You have to do it to H3. You have to do it to H2. You have to, you have to do it to all of them. But if you look at this closely, you will notice that all these guys are under or are inside the body. Why can't I just align the body to center? Let's give it a try. So this is the body. This is the body on top. We just take this guy and put it to the center. So what do you think will happen? It should align everything to the center. So I can add it here, and look at how I add it, guys. I just did text align center. This just align everything to the center. So I don't need to individually align everybody to the center. So it just aligns to the center like this. So the next trouble we are going to worry about is the trouble of this distance. The distance between Richard and Ant, that distance is really great. I was trying to avoid using H1, but it's just a good way for me to explain to you how that distance works. That distance is being controlled by line height. We're going to get through it. It's a property. I told you guys that we're going to walk through major part of the properties. So, and we're going to be styling each of these things, gradually. So we go to, we need to bring the distance from here to here is too, close, is too far apart. Before we get there, you can see that the font is kind of, awkward. This font, this one in the design is looking finer, and this one is looking, not too fine. How do you change the font of a text? Quite simple. Let's go ahead. Let's look at how to do that. So you can see that I'm in H1. I'm concerned about H1. I go to H1 and I do font, and I say you can do font family, and I pick the kind of font family that I want. So because this is a kind of fancy kind of font, I have something like this. I don't know if fantasy will look like this, but let me try fantasy. No, fantasy is not it. Let me try another one. So these are the fonts that came with my system. As you try your own, you will see the fonts that came with your system. So if you know a system font, that is kind of cursive, you just bring it. So this is like a cursive kind of font. So, and this looks fine, but it's not, it's not cursive enough, to meet the kind of design I want. So that's how it is. If you know any font that has that kind of feature, you just pick it. So this is on my own system. By the time we get to CSS, we do advanced font stuff where you can bring in some advanced fonts. So I can just pick this guy, and we know that that is it. Now, the same way I've been able to attach text center to everything, you don't want to do the same thing to audio text. So I'm not taking this guy to body. Instead, I want to kind of group Richard and Julian together. What do you think? I want to group Richard and Julian together such that I can style both of them alone. How do you do that? You can put them in a form of container, and that will introduce you to what I call div. Div is a kind of a container element to put other things inside so that you can style those things and not worry about styling individual things. You are still going to style individually, by the way. So where does Julian stop? So look at it, guys. From 7 to 11 is where we are doing Richard to Julian. So don't get things mixed up. It's very, easy to get things mixed up. So we need to put all these guys in a new container so that we can style them differently. So I'm going to, cut this one away and create a new container. And what did I say? The container is div. So div is an element to serve as a container. So I can come here. What I cut, I just paste it here. No visual change occurred. No visual change occurred. The only thing that happened is that notice Your div is now like a parent element of these three guys. First one is the H1 that is carrying Richard. The second one is your Appreson, and the last one is Julian. So I can remove this styling I've done in H1. The reason why I'm doing that is because this guy carries special, both of them, H1, span and H1 is going to have the same kind of font. So by so doing, I've, designed this one specially to focus on this. So everything here is going to have this design, while the rest of the site has, the normal font. So I've been able to isolate these three guys to have this design. Now, if you notice, 25 also have that kind of, style. We can go and do 25 like that, even though we are still far from 25. But let's go ahead. Let's take it. Let's be a little bit fast now. The next thing, okay, so I will just be a little fast and then move on. I want to show you something. Notice this part that says together with their family. Notice that is in uppercase here. Even though I could do this to show uppercase, I could make it work in uppercase by typing it in uppercase. There's actually a property that allows you to transform your text into uppercase. So, and it's good for you to know about that. So let's go ahead and style that part and see how we can do that. So it's called text transform. Or I think, is it transform or decoration? I think it's transform. Then you can then say, you can choose uppercase. What uppercase does is to turn everything to uppercase. Even though you could style it, but this is just telling you that, hey, that thing, that feature is there. So we could implement the same thing to what? To our January, Saturday, and 2015. So the same thing we did here to group Richard and Julian, we can also group this same guy. The reason why I'm grouping it is because, they are having uppercase, but I might not even need to group it. I can just write it uppercase. So this is just showing you what is possible. So I won't group it so that to avoid confusion, I will not group it. Let's go ahead and achieve the next thing. The next thing I want us to achieve is being able to style something different. You can see number 25 is styled differently among all this styling. 25 is styled differently. Number one, I don't even like the whole font of this thing. So let me change the entire font of the content. And who can guess how do you change the entire font of everything? Is to add it to your body. So anything you add to your body now applies to everything. So let's go ahead and apply it to everything. So to change the font of, so I will do font family. So I'm going to choose Arial. I'm going to choose something that has Arial. Yeah, I'm going to pick Arial. So look at what happened. Yeah, it has broken it down for me. So you can see what is happening to the body. So body has font family, blah, blah, blah. Text align center, background indigo, color as your something. So you can see that this is readable. So let's move on. And the font looks better than what we had before. Now we want to change style 25 separately. How do you style 25 separately? Is by putting anything you want to style, you have to put it in a kind of an element. If your text is not in an element, you can't style it. So you can see that this 25 is just a text, is a content of another element. This 25 is a content of H2 element. So for you to be able to style 25, it has to be an element itself so that you can style it. The style can only be applied to an element. So what element can you apply to this is span. So span is something that you use when you don't want to go to the next line. So there are two types of grouping elements. We have the span and we have the div. The div, is a form of element to group. Span is also a form of element to group, but they are two, opposite things. One group and gives you a new line. The other one groups and still maintain the same line. So let me give you an example what I mean. So let's group by using div and let's group by using span. So if I cut this one now and I group by using div. So if I put my 25 there, notice what happened. It broke the thing for us. It has Saturday 25 at 8 p.m. So let's say we now group by using span. What happens? It just does it as if nothing happened. You can see that it's still in line. So this method is what we're going to use for this. And in this case, I can then specify that we want this cursive font for what? For this 25. So remember how to add your style attribute. I just paste it there and I have this feature. I know that the font is really whack, but let's just use it. So what I can do is I can also increase the font to make up with, to make it look close to what we have in our result. So how do you increase the font? You increase the font by saying font size. There's quite a lot of style, but like I said, there's a whole full class for this. So font size, and let's say 40. So we are getting close to what we have. This font is really whack. I really want to change this font. Let me see if I have something on my system that will help out. Let me see if I have something on my system that will help out instead of having this kind of font. I've opened my Grimoire. Okay, so there are fonts. Let me see if I have cursive font. Okay, yeah, I can see one fine font. The font is called Bilbo Swash Caps. Let me try it if it will work. So I have a font now. So if your font has a space in it, you have to put it in a single quote. So let me try this font and see if it will work. Bilbo Swash Caps. Okay, this font looks nicer. Yeah, this looks nicer. So that's what happens if you get good font to do what you are doing. You're gonna get good results. And we need to increase the font. Let's say 40. Nah, 40 is too much. Okay, so let's use the same font for our 25 here. Okay, not bad, not shabby. So let's go ahead and talk about the excess space that we have there. Our time is fast spent. One of the ways to change the spacing is to know how Element works. Element comes with default styling. Element comes with default styling. The way they are being designed, the way they come from heaven, they have their default styling. So how do we, alter this? So I'll go to style. The way to alter this is there's something we call margin and padding. Margin and padding. So that is also an advanced class. We are still going to do these things in CSS. So this is just for us to play around and start doing something fun before we get to those class. So if we do margin, so you can do margin 0. What margin 0 does is that it removes the margin on the bottom and on the top. So you can see this close stuff. So margin fix that. And we do the same thing to what? We did the same thing to Julian. We can also do the same thing to span, but it's not necessary because span does not come with margin by default. You can still reduce it more by specifying the line height. When I highlight it, look at what happened. When you highlight it, you have this effect. So if you really want this and to enter inside this, there's something we call line height. And line height is available to every text. So line height is the line of the height of the text. So let me say 10 px. So 10 px is too tight. So let's say 20. Let's say 30. So you can see as we're increasing the line height, it's giving us options. So you can see that the and has entered into the space of Richard. And that is doable by using line height. So let's leave it at 50. And I can do the same thing for this guy as well. So let's have one last thing. The last thing I want to talk about is ability for you to go to the next line for a text. Look at what is happening here, guys. You will see that the story I've written here together with their family, blah, blah, blah. You can see that when it's in this part, it breaks at family. How can you let it break at family? We use what I call BR, because if you just come here like this and come like this and press enter, it doesn't respect that. HTML does not respect carriage return. This is what we call carriage return. Once you press enter, that's carriage return. It does not respect that. So you have to tell it that you want it to go to a new line. And the way to do that is by using BR. So you use BR like this. So this is a new way to break a text into a next line. Now you will see that this is written weirdly. This is new. I've never written something like this before for you guys. This is written new, and this is an element that does not have a content, but you need to close it. When an element, 99% of elements all have content. But what about the 1%? The 1% has to find a way to close itself. So let me write this out boldly somewhere so that I can explain what is going on. This is my screen. So let me write it boldly somewhere so that you can see what is going on. So you have BR like this. This is what I've taught you guys so far. This is what I've taught you about opening and closing. Like I said, some tags, which is 1% of the entire tag, don't have a content. An example of those tags is BR. BR means break. When you give a command to break, you don't need to worry about what is inside the content. You just go ahead and break, just go and break. So if you don't need a content, why do you need to close it? So therefore, this one goes away and the closing bracket starts here. So these denote you open the BR, that's from here to here, and this denote you are closing it. So I'm going to introduce you to other tags that does not also require closing. So there's another tag that does not require closing, and I'm going to introduce it here, where you have our H after this one, and the name of the tag is horizontal line, and that tag allows you to do horizontal line. So that's what we used to do, is horizontal line. So I'm going to introduce another horizontal line at the end of PM, which is here. I'm going to introduce another horizontal line. So this gives us this effect. It's not close to what we have in our result, but just manage it. I'm trying to avoid not to have so many code that will require too many explanation. So now you can start, doing some other stuffs, like making sure that you reduce the line height of some of these things. For example, the distance between here and here is too much, is because, like I said, any paragraph or any header comes with its default margin, blown up. So we need to reduce the margin on our H2 so that it will reduce what is going on here. And how do you reduce the margin? Is by saying our style, is equal to our style margin is equal to 0. So once you do that, that gets affected for that part. You can reduce that on also January. You can reduce that to also 2025. So you can see that it's more compact now. It's compact. How did they say that in English? Tongue twisting stuff. So we still have one more BR to add. So at city here, let's even add the BR under any city. So to add a BR, you come here and you do BR, and then you have it this way. So that's where we are. That's what we have today, guys. So if I want to add this one to come down a little bit, I can come to the body and add my BR. So you can see that there's now space here. I can do more BR to give it more space. So for your level, this is, what you can go home with as kind of design. So this is okay for your level. Remember, you are just 3 classes in HTML. So if you watch that video, you will see the assignment. I gave you guys an assignment. Go and watch the video. I'm still going to put this one online so that you guys can also watch, this video. And I'm sure there's 1 or 2 things that you will learn from this. Any questions? We are done for today's class. Questions, please.